It's 5 o'clock. I want to welcome everyone to the Saugeen Shores Committee of Adjustment for Monday, November the 16th, 2020, and I call this meeting to order. Our second item on the agenda is the acknowledgement of any pecuniary interest, and you can either raise it now or at any such time it comes up on the agenda. Item number 3 is the adoption of minutes from the October 19th meeting. May I have someone make a motion to adopt the minutes, moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson and seconded by Councillor Rich. Any discussion? Any questions? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Now, Mr. Legault, you might want to turn your camera on. Our next item is number 4, which is the additional business. This is 4.1 minor variance A-2020-031. Ryan and Natasha Martin with the municipal address of 233 Saugeen Beach Road. Ms. Mugabe.
Ms. Mugabe, I think you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now? Sarah,
Yes.
can you hear? Okay. So this slide was taken at the T intersection looking at the property. You can see a hedgerow of trees in the exterior or east side yard. This image is the existing image on the site. It's a cottage. And this is the rear yard of the property. It's a residential lot surrounded by residential uses. The property is on municipal water and private septic system and is accessed via a year-round municipal road. The application was first presented to committee in August, and at the time the decision was deferred so that the applicant could address the concerns of the community by changing the proposal to increase the setback from the road at the intersection. The applicant has submitted a revised site plan which complies with the site feasibility triangle of 10 meters, whereas the original proposal sought relief to permit a reduction to 8.5 meters. The new house design requires a smaller variance to the front yard of 4.5 meters, whereas the original proposal required relief for 3.1 meters. 6 meters is the requirement. Approval of the application would facilitate the construction of a replacement dwelling. The property is designated primary urban communities in the Bruce County official plan and shoreline residential in the local official plan. The zoning is residential first density with special provision R1-2. A dwelling is a permitted use in the designation and zone. We received comments from the town. There are no objections. During the pre-consultation meeting, it was agreed upon by the applicant's consultant that a hedgerow should be cut back to 2 or 3 meters from the intersection to improve sight lines or safety at the intersection. We recommend that this be made a condition of approval. The town has commented that the developer transfer to the town at no cost to the town or land on which the traveled portion of the Saugeen Beach Road is located. The amount of land is to be determined through a reference plan prepared by a qualified person. Such transfer may be completed after a building permit is issued, but prior to occupancy of the building. We are recommending that is also a condition of approval. The last condition of approval is that in preparation of the survey, the developer include a part on the reference plan showing the potential road widening of George Street of dimension 3.7 meters by 15.2 meters. There were no objections received from the agencies. We received comments from members of the public. One of the comments relates to safety concerns at the intersection. It is indicated that the 10-meter side visibility triangle is not acceptable given the extreme narrowness of the road. My response is that the revised site plan is in compliance with the 10-meter visibility triangle requirements of the zoning bylaw. I also mentioned earlier that the hedge will be trimmed back some 3 meters from the intersection to improve safety. Issues relating to traffic not slowing down at the stop sign is not an issue that can be dealt with through land use planning. There was a request for a copy of the applicant's survey. We have requested as a condition of approval that the applicant submit a survey. So this will be available sometime down the road. We received comments that the variance being sought is not minor, that the zoning bylaw should strictly be applied as doing so would not cause hardship for the applicant. I will address this comment as I speak to the 4 tests of a minor variance. The 4 tests of a minor variance. Does the variance maintain the intent and purpose of the official plan? The variance maintains the intent and purpose of both the official plan and the zoning bylaw. A dwelling is a permitted use on the subject land from both an official plan and a zoning perspective. Does the variance maintain the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? I just addressed that. Is the variance requested desirable for the appropriate and orderly development and use of the lands and building? The variance is desirable. The policy makes provision for property owners to redevelop their properties, which improves the site and the neighborhood. The landowner will have a more functional dwelling. Therefore, the application is desirable from their perspective. Is the variance minor in nature? Whether a variance is minor in nature is evaluated in terms of the impact of the proposed development on the environment, on municipal services, and on the surrounding neighborhood. It is not expected that permitting the variance will have any impact on the environment. The Conservation Authority finds the application acceptable. And I've mentioned already the town's requirement for land transfer towards municipal road services. With respect to the neighborhood, regarding the neighbor to the west, there's a dense hedgerow existing on the mutual lot line, making it impossible for the neighbor to view the new dwelling from their property. The neighbor to the east is 26 meters away from the subject property and is separated by the municipal road and the hedgerow to the east. Due to the separation distance and the hedgerow visual screening, the impact to the neighbor is negligible. The neighbor to the north is set back 14 meters from the subject land, and their property contains mature trees in the front yard. Therefore, they are visually screened from the subject lands. It is unlikely that any of the immediate neighbors will be adversely affected by the proposed development. As a summary, a minor variance has been requested to facilitate the construction of a replacement dwelling. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement. It upholds the objectives of the official plan and represents good land use planning. The application satisfies the 4 tests of a minor variance. We recommend approval, subject to the conditions on the decision sheets. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Mugabe. Mr. Davidson, are you representing the applicants?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any comments?
Yes, and I shall be very brief, sir, and thank you for your time, committee members. So this application was discussed a couple of months ago, as Barbara indicated. It was deferred, suggested we go back to the drawing board. The homeowner and his house designer went back to the drawing board, and now they've able to come up with a better front yard. And as Barbara indicated, very clearly, it now conforms with the other provision that we had originally requested relief from, which was the site visibility triangle. It was agreed upon by staff before that the 10-meter site visibility triangle was excessive But nevertheless, we are meeting that this time around. With regard to the conditions, certainly no problem in conveying a little bit of land on the corner where the road traverses the property. No problem cutting down the hedgerow or a portion of it so the site visibility triangle is better. That the third condition about showing a possible future dedication to the municipality that cuts off another 3.7 meters across the entire frontage of the property. Just to be honest, the owner isn't really particularly happy about that, but to be clear, the town's not saying that has to be conveyed. I spoke with Jay at length about this, and I think he's going to speak about it in a couple minutes. He's saying just in case that it needs to be conveyed in the future, you need to get it surveyed. I think if the committee members, and I know you probably don't have it in front of you, but if you saw the road allowance and the shape of it, it's in my mind, it's almost a given that the road allowance widening would come off the north side of the street, but you'd have to see what I was talking about. And I'm sorry I didn't actually prepare a visual, but nevertheless, that's a condition if the town's going to impose. Again, the applicant would prefer if you didn't. But again, you're not asking for the land, you're just asking for it to be surveyed in the event that the town does want it at a later date. To be clear, with regard, the last thing I want to address is or comment on is the safety issue. Again, the neighbors are suggesting, or not suggesting, they're stating that there is still an issue there. There's not. They're not engineers. I say that respectfully, but somewhat firmly. We have it in writing from the town, and I read verbatim: the town is satisfied that site visibility matters have been addressed. The site plan has been adjusted, and zoning matters related to site visibility are no longer relevant to the proposal. In other words, any lingering perceived safety issue is not relevant to the Committee of Adjustment. Traffic safety matters are the responsibility of the town and not the applicant. So I ask respectfully, sir, and committee members, that your committee takes into consideration those comments from your own town staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson. Jane, you wish to address?
Yeah, I just wanted to explain sort of the reason why we have the clause that's requesting the 3 meter by 15 meter parcel be identified on the survey, but we're not acquiring it. Well, the fact is that the town, there is a potential that we would have a sanitary service project in Goebels Grove and southern Saugeen Shores area. But as of right now, there is no design, there is no approval, there's no funding. We've examined sort of a worst case scenario, acquiring land as if we had the widest possible scope to acquire the land. And in mapping it, it just means that we have maximum flexibility. I might add that it also means that this building is still set back enough from the front property line that we're not going to have to demolish the house when we acquire the land.
Thank you. Committee, any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, there still is, if you're looking for public comment, or you're
Sorry, I jumped ahead of myself. Any members of the public that wish to address? Mr. Miller? Anybody wish to address?
I think Ben does. Are you there, Ben?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I can't get the audio up or the video up. I'm very sorry about that. Are you able to see me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll carry on. Just want to remind the committee of who we are. I'm Ben Miller, and I'm presenting today, and my sister Sarah has a brief presentation to make also. Our family owns the property, really kitty corner from the property in question at 46 George Street. First meeting, we were representing our mother. Her mother has since passed away, and we are representing the state at this point. My brother Bob, my sister Sarah, who's with us tonight, and myself are all executors of that estate. The transportation section of the official plan under the objectives clearly state one of the objectives is to ensure that new development does not create traffic hazards. And that's the basis of our objection. And I'd just like the committee to know that I've resided in Saugeen Shores for 40 years and been a property owner and been fortunate enough to own several pieces of a property and received multiple notices of for minor variance over the years and never have objected to a single minor variance. I do not do this lightly, and I do not do this without a great deal of thought. As we discussed at the first meeting, the road allowance where the relief from the minimum setbacks is being requested is only 4.9 meters wide. Now, the official plan section 4.3.4.1 states the minimum right-of-way width for local roads shall be 20 meters. And so we're at less than 25% of the recommended minimum. We feel that any relief from the minimum setback of 6 meters on this extremely narrow road right-of-way would further negatively affect an already dangerous intersection and greatly limit the possibility of future improvement to this intersection. Currently, a significant portion of the visibility triangle is on the traveled or paved portion of the road. We acknowledge that the applicant has revised the site plan to have the visibility triangle meet the minimum 10 meters. We question whether the intent of the bylaw was to have this measurement taken from a point that is already well out on the traveled portion of the road. We see no practical reason why the property in question cannot be developed within the guidelines of the bylaw. Our belief in this case is the needs and safety of people traveling this portion of Saugeen Beach should take precedent over the wants of an individual property owner. We appreciate the narrow road right-of-way as one of those unfortunate legacy issues left by Saugeen Township that should have been dealt with decades ago. Our hope would be that the municipality would take a more holistic approach to resolving the safety issues at this intersection, and we would certainly welcome the opportunity to be part of that resolution. Thank you. Thanks to the committee. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for allowing us to be involved in this process.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any other comments? Ms. Miller, your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
It was noted at the last meeting in August that one of the committee members felt that there were no safety issues regarding this intersection, which prompted us to get an expert opinion. So we engaged someone named Sue Blacklock, who is retired from the OPP with 32.5 years of service. The last 19 years were investigating serious injury and fatal collisions as a technical collision investigator and a collision reconstructionist. She's been a member of CATAIR, which is the Canadian Association of Technical Accident Investigators and Reconstructionists, since 2001, and she has been a director with the Ontario chapter since 2013. She is still current in that she is a consultant for the Ministry of Transportation. She was unable to come and actually view the intersection, the reason being the 10 days by the time we engaged her until today, she was testifying in court for other issues. So basically, she looked at Google Earth. She looked at our real property report, which I was hoping was going to be shown again today so you could have a really good idea of what not only our property is like, but the neighboring properties and the actual intersection. Anyway, she was able to look at that, and we also gave her measurements at various points in the intersection of the asphalt, which we also provided to Barbara, which I was hoping would also be given to the committee. Anyways, I'll just summarize what she says because it does get quite technical. Basically, she says this is a nightmare for any roadway traffic. The sight lines, if any, are horrible. The traffic approaching this three-way controlled intersection has an obstructive view with the trees alone. The roadway just isn't wide enough to support vehicular traffic, let alone bicycles, pedestrians, and other roadway users at the same time. And then she goes into great technical detail about perception reaction times if there's a hazard, and she does it for various speed limits, and the speed limit at that intersection is 30 kilometers. So I won't get into that. But later on, she says, as stated, the intersection is blind on all sides from the trees alone. The consolation to that is trees can be removed if this intersection becomes an issue, like a serious motor vehicle crash fatality and a civil lawsuit is launched. Once a residence is built, which also could prove a view obstruction, that residence cannot be moved so easily. And later she just says, I hope the municipality takes this seriously. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the committee? If not, then we'll move on to the committee discussion. Any questions or comments? Councilor Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question for Ms. Miller, if I may. Your report from Ms. Blacklock, was that, I didn't see that as part of our materials. Was that something that you submitted to?
No, I can submit it. I just received it on Friday.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. I have, I guess, a question for Amanda Froese and then maybe one for Ron as well. Maybe I'll do the one for Ron first. How many meters are going to be required to install the septic system? I know that goes at the back of the property.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't have the ability to turn myself on there. I'm not sure, Councilor Grace, if you have the site plan in front of you.
Well, the copy I had was difficult to
Okay.
make out.
So the septic system, like at the rear of the property, behind the house at the south end, right off the lane, there'll be the 2 required parking spaces, and then behind that, so to the west or towards the beach, will be the weeping bed. In there, you also have to have your septic tank. The weeping bed, to answer your question, looks like it's 7 meters wide. I'm having a tough time reading that as well. That's not 7 meters wide. All I know is that the home designer designed the septic system and the tank in accordance with the building code, and he left it at the minimum requirement in terms of proximity to lot lines. So he could, because I asked the question right from the get-go if we could possibly shift the building further south, and that's not an option. It's encroaching into the required setback for the septic system from the rear lot line and the septic system itself.
Okay, that was where I was kind of going with this, is wondering if the building could be shifted farther south. And what I wondered about is, could the septic system be moved into the front yard?
Good question, and I had asked that question myself. That would, unfortunately, now the answer before was in terms of getting the best use of the land, it would be to the south. But now with the town requesting possible future road widening, if we put the septic system in the north end, it could conceivably end up on the road allowance, I guess. So now that ship has kind of sailed, even if it was possible to sail that ship before.
Okay, maybe I could, I wonder if Amanda could do a follow-up with that. Amanda or Jay, could you confirm that issue with the placement of the septic system? Why it couldn't be in the front yard?
I honestly would say that it could. What would end up happening is that if we took the road widening in the future to expand that roadway, then that would have to be removed when the gravity sanitary sewer connection was put in. So what that would mean is the project to move George Street going forward as a wider road would only happen when gravity sanitary sewers were put in. It could limit us on that piece. Does that
Okay.
make sense? So if we were to just resurface the road and widen it without putting sanitary sewers in, then we would have the potential of a private system in our road right of way. But it wouldn't matter if we did gravity sewers at the same time.
Okay, thank you. And I have one more question, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Councillor.
So my other question is for Amanda, and that's basically about, you know, the concern here, I think, with Mr. Miller and Ms. Miller is traffic safety at this intersection. And so I'm wondering, I know one of the comments in the report was that that's really something that is the town's responsibility. It's not something that's relevant to in terms of whether this should be approved or not. I interpret it as being, this is something that the town has to deal with. And so my question is, what kinds of traffic calming and safety measures could we take other than the removal of the trees, which is part of
Are we all frozen? We have an power problem at the office.
Yeah, Jay, you're the only one I can hear.
Okay, Ron, you're survived.
Oh, hi, Amanda.
I look creepy, I'll say that. Yeah,
Do we have Chair O'Connor on the line still? They look like they're there, but we'll just have to do a roll call again.
All right. Logging out, logging in.
Look at Ron over there bragging with his lights.
But so we're on a generator. If they don't have a generator, they won't be back on.
No, I don't.
So if we can determine how widespread this power outage is out, does anybody have Barbara's email that they could just text her? And we can just start texting to see where the status of the members are?
Do a reply to all the committee, I think.
The power is out at Joseph and Waterloo.
Okay.
So it's not just Plex.
Make sure that line is off.
Pardon?
Should I make sure everything's not like recording?
Okay, we'll just stay live so they know we're not hiding anything. Get people a minute back in.
Yep, there's a couple.
Councillor Grace, did your hydro go out or was it just at our end?
Yeah, no, my power went out. We have a generator, so it came back on, but I haven't connected on my computer yet. I'm on my iPhone.
Okay. And Deputy Mayor, you're very dark. I can see your eyes. That's it.
Yeah, can you hear me, Linda?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, you can see my eyes. I'm the beast in the darkness. I have no power, no lights.
Okay. Mr. Miller, are you of the same?
I know Councillor Rich is in the same boat, and Councillor Smith just texted me. She's in the same boat as well.
Okay. Well, in all likelihood, we will have to recess this meeting, but does anybody have contacts for the chair?
I can get a hold of Pat or Jay. Do you have it?
I don't. I just have his email. So,
what would you like me to do, Linda?
We'd like to know if he has the ability to get back on.
Okay, if you give me 1 second, I will contact him.
Ben, is your hydro off on Saugeen Beach Road, or
I'm in Owen Sound.
you're in Owen Sound? You're good.
I'm across Owen Sound because of the power outage.
Okay.
My power's out. I'm on Shipley.
Okay, thanks.
I've got a generator, so I'm back in.
So we know the protocol here is going to be, if we can't get the community back on so that they can see the live stream, that we will recess the entire meeting and reconvene on another date. But we'll just give it a few minutes here and see.
My
People
sense,
down in Port Elgin are saying it's like half power. So the power went off completely, but now it's come on and lights are really dim and it's not really a full feeling of power. If that makes sense.
And the member that just, or the person that just joined us by telephone, can you identify yourself?
Yes, it's Liz Kuntz.
Hi, welcome, Liz. Do you have power on Saugeen Beach Road?
We have a generator. We just lost power and ours just came on, but I dialed you in the dark.
Okay, appreciate that. So we're just all staying tuned to see what we can do here, but.
My power went
Linda,
off.
the power just came on in Southampton.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go back in and here, I'm gonna go back online here. Give me a second.
Was everyone having a good year?
Oh, and we're in snow squall watch for tonight as well.
Okay, so we did not get Mr. Rice and Miss Ryby back on, so.
or Mr. Butner.
And we did not get Mr. Butner either, so.
And our planner is not logged back in.
That is right. And then Mr. Legault.
Oh,
And there he is.
Okay,
So,
headphones immediately. Got it up on my phone here, but I don't see anybody else.
okay, so I can run through the attendance with you, Chair O'Connor. We have a couple of options here, but let me just run through who we have so far. So we do have Don Matheson.
Yep.
We have Pat O'Connor.
Yeah.
We have Liz Kuntz, Cheryl Grace, and Marcel. Are you able to hear us? If you're mute.
Yeah, I'm able to hear you, but I can't get video up for some reason.
Okay, and where you are, do you have hydro?
I just came back on, yeah.
Okay.
How long? I don't know.
If so, yes. Okay, here we go. Yeah, there. Okay, I'm gonna hang that one up here.
Okay, so at this point in time, oops, sorry. There, are you able to hear us, Pat?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
There we go. Thank you, Linda.
So we're set with our members. We do not have our planner back online yet. We do not have Barbara. My one suggestion, there has to be when we have these meetings, the ability for the public to hear and participate. We do have our members participating, but at home we don't have that same capabilities. We're not sure who can hear us and who cannot hear us. One path forward would be, Pat, is to continue the conversation, but possibly consider deferring a decision until we can recess this meeting and reconvene it on another evening. This will be your last application that you'll hear this evening, because we did not get, we're just getting Dame Butner on the line now, but we do not have Bev Rice or Miss Ryby on the line with us. So I would suggest you continue a discussion on this application.
Okay. And we were at committee at this point after, if I recall, the last committee member to speak was Councillor Grace.
Yes, my question, okay. My question was to Director Froese, and that's the question about what kinds, other than removing the trees, what other kinds of traffic calming and safety measures might be taken by the town at this intersection in a reasonable amount of time? Is there anything else we can be doing there?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Because it's a stop control intersection, there's nothing other than removing the trees for visibility that we see as necessary at this time. But with the transportation master plan comes that traffic calming policy that we could look at if that wants to be implemented for things that could be put through that piece. It already has the 30-kilometer speed limit reduced zone there. So those are our biggest two things that we could do at that intersection, trees and keep that reduced speed limit.
So just another type of traffic calming thing. Can you think of something else, like maybe a temporary speed bump or something? Or I don't know.
Honestly, no, because you have to stop at that intersection. So a speed bump doesn't do anything if you're stopping already at that spot. If it was an S bend, then looking at putting in a stop controlled intersection would be something that we could do, but that's already there.
Mr. Chair, I do have one more question for Jay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Jay, so the 10-meter daylight triangle, that is permitted under the zoning bylaw. That's been removed as one of the variances. Am I correct in this latest version of the application?
Correct. The applicant is not requesting a variance to that provision
Because it's not necessary.
because they are compliant.
Right. Thank you.
Any further questions? Deputy Mayor Matheson. Can't you turn your microphone on, sir?
There we go. Thank you. Now, I want to thank Ben and his sister, Miss Miller, for their presentation today. I totally understand what they're going through as they're trying to work with this, and my condolences go out to them. I did go down and look at the area, and I do believe Jay is right. We have met the standard for that stop sign. It is a three-way stop, and I don't believe that should be one of the impingements to stopping this variance going forward, because that isn't part of what the Committee of Adjustment looks at. That's a town issue, not a variance issue. The proponent is making all the necessary required changes, and if it ever does come to an actual road widening, there's going to be a lot of unhappy people down there, because we'll be taking out that beautiful hedge that goes along the north side and all the trees that populate the side of the roadway going down. So I believe that the sight lines at the three-way stop, and it is a three-way stop, meet the needs of what the town is. I know it can be a scary spot, but I think the proponent has done what they need to do, and I will be supporting this motion.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have a question of the clerk, please. We have two members that that are not visible. How do we? What is available to us for voting?
Okay, so we will have to take the vote verbally, because they can't, in some cases, can't see the members. Yeah. So if you wanted to look at your screen and just go around and call their names.
Certainly. Okay, we will do that. May I have a motion to accept? Moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson, a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Rich. I have a motion to approve the minor variance subject to the conditions on the decision sheet. All in favor? Deputy Mayor Matheson, in favor. Councillor Grace, in favor. Mr. Rich. Councillor Rich. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Ms. Kunz.
We're having trouble with her feedback.
And then Mr. Legault. Mr. Legault is not on the meeting. As we...
Okay. So if you can just give us maybe just a couple seconds just to see if we can troubleshoot. We've got the the vote so far, but let's just see if we can. Could I ask the person that's registered as my computer to identify themselves? Okay.
Councillor Rich.
It's possible that people have lost power. I mean, Deputy Mayor Matheson and I have lost power and come back on. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was happen again.
Okay, so
Is it possible for you to hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, this is Liz Kuntz, and sorry, I've been trying to answer your questions, but I couldn't get unmuted somehow.
Okay. Are you opposed? Are you supporting this motion, or are you opposed, Ms. Quinn?
I had questions to ask and concerns to express, but I have not been able to do that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
with the consensus of the committee, you may wish to allow Ms. Kuntz to offer her comments at this point.
Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna remove my phone and see if you can still hear me without this feedback via my computer audio. 1 second, please.
So.
Okay, it seems like you can only hear me if I use my phone, but I'll then have to mute my computer because there's a lot of feedback. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My concerns, is this my opportunity to state my concerns or questions?
Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
Okay. I appreciated Councillor Grace's question about could the septic bed be in the front of the dwelling where it is now, and I heard the answer to that. My second concern is the traffic safety measures at that corner cannot change that are being proposed cannot, or anything the town could do could not change the complicating factors that are as follows. The road rises in elevation substantially from the lake as it approaches the intersection, meaning that cyclists are unlikely to come to a full stop in either direction, east or west, so approaching the lake or leaving the lake. So that elevation, that hill that you have to go up as a cyclist or hill that you're coming down as a cyclist is a real deterrent to cyclists being able to come to a full stop. Another point is that Saugeen Beach Road follows the lake shore. So cyclists and sightseeing drivers add to the high usage there at that narrow intersection. Also, there is a lot of new home construction in Gobles Grove or near Ice Grove and near the waterfront road. So also there are road repairs on Bruce 25 and Saugeen Beach Road happening. As you know, Bruce 25 is closed right now. Saugeen Beach Road gets closed every time there's high winds and water and debris across the road. So that means heavy construction trucks also use this very narrow intersection. Additionally, large trailers follow this route to and from McGregor Point Provincial Park because it's along the lake. Many pedestrians use this intersection and they pull wagons and children on bikes. This is their only way to get to the lake. This is their only beach access. So it is a heavily used intersection by heavy traffic, big trailers, construction vehicles, and children and people, pedestrians and cyclists. So I think the current owners were aware of this when they purchased the property, and they certainly are aware of it now that they have used this property as a cottage. My concern is still for the safety of this intersection, and I honestly just cannot support the motion to accept the changes as stated. I think that they need to live within the guidelines of the bylaw and to live within the sightline envelope that should be there in this circumstance. So that's, I would vote, I would be opposed to this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So we have 3 members in favor and 1 opposed. The motion is carried. Ms. White, is it your recommendation that we suspend the meeting, or do we have everybody that was supposed to be on the call?
Thank you. So I just want to confirm with respect to the last application that at all times during the presentation and during the discussion and during the voting that a quorum of your members were present, and you've ruled on that decision, and I just want to confirm that quorum was maintained. People at home could have the ability, if they so wished, if their power had went out, they could watch it online on their phone, that type of thing. Moving forward, I'm just looking to see if we still, I think we have lost the Rices. Councillor Rich.
I think in light of the events and weather, that there's a possibility that we could lose power again. Do you think it's a good idea to suspend the meeting? And I mean, if we're not sure of who's on the call and who's able to kind of maintain whether or not we're maintaining quorum, do you think it'd be a good idea to make a motion to suspend?
I certainly do. I'm confident with your last decision and process, and not as confident moving forward with the power outage. So I would certainly recommend a motion to suspend as people kind of move on and off of the meeting. But I'll leave it up to your committee to make that decision as a group.
We have a motion to suspend this meeting. Deputy Mayor Matheson.
I'll second Councillor Rich's motion.
Thank you. So moved by Councillor Rich, seconded by Deputy Mayor Matheson, that we hereby suspend this meeting until such time that we can reconvene. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. It's unfortunate that we lost the power, but we want to make the correct decisions based on everybody's input. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just add for those folks that, for Mr. Butner in particular, that's listening, wanting to know how we'll move forward, Jay Posner and the planner will be in touch with you to let you know when the next meeting is. But certainly our apologies.